this week from, looks like we just went live now. Sorry about that. Good morning. Welcome to the Groovy Podcast. This is Ken Cousin, podcasting from Austin, Texas, and
this is Baruch, podcasting from Israel. Very hot weather here. Good afternoon.
Oh, well, I don't know. It'd be pretty hot, but it's pretty hot in Austin, Texas as well. I convert the temperature for you, but I'm not exactly sure how. We're probably going to be roughly 90 degrees today. It's certainly well into the 30s. I'm just not sure what that is exactly in Celsius.
Yeah, we are above 30, so I would say we are above 100 today.
Oh my goodness. Where in Israel, by the way?
It's Netanya, between Tel Aviv and Haifa, if you know the geography a little bit. And today is definitely one of the hottest days we will have the whole year, I guess.
For an American, my geography is very good, but as you know, that's really not a very high bar at all, is it? So, how are you this week?
No, yeah, that's fine. Good. Actually, I spent tons of time reviewing them this week, and we have tons of very good content about Groovy and Grails and the ecosystem and the Java 1 submissions, and a lot of them got a good votes. So we will have very Groovy Java 1 this year, which excites me a lot.
Did you see any of my submissions? Not to put you on the spot.
Yes, of course. I will brief you on them off air because I really shouldn't support to talk about them.
Probably for the best. I did play one game. I did go out of my way to talk about submitting for Groovy on mobile because I knew it would be dangerous to use the A word to actually say Android at an Oracle conference. So
yeah, that's true.
Of course, the big conference coming up next week is GreatConf in the EU, right? The big one. Are you headed to that?
No, because I'm going to be on the plane with my family relocating to the States on the very same day. But Noam is going to be there presenting a couple of very good talks. The second season of Groovy Puzzlers with Andres and a couple of others. And yeah, you know, what is Java 1 comparing to GreatConf, right?
Right. I mean, I know that's the Java Puzzler, or pardon me, the Groovy Puzzlers is always a very popular talk. So I'm glad you got enough submissions to actually put together something good again. That's a lot of fun, I imagine.
Yeah. So we do have a very solid second season for 45 minute talks. We are still challenged for the Spring 1.2JX, where the talks are 90 minutes. But submissions keep coming, and we expect a lot of good submissions after GreatConf by the participants. So I think we will manage, and yeah, that's a funny season. I already did like a couple of runs of it in Eastern Europe conferences in Moscow and in Kiev. It's a great fun, and we'll have a lot of fun this year as well. I love the tradition that we build here.
Oh yeah, that looks. I mean, I sat through it once and I thought it was wonderful. I'm looking forward to seeing it again. I was looking through the agenda for GreatConf in the EU, and there's all kinds of really interesting stuff there. You know, most of those are going to eventually be online, right?
Yeah, I think all of them is going to be online. I don't remember. From what I know, everything is going to be online.
Now, I think it's on the keynote. Isn't that going to be Jeff Brown going to be talking about that? I don't see it there. I was just looking through the agenda, trying to see the details, and I do see that there's a State of the Groovy Nation by Guillaume, and that should be very interesting. And Grail's keynote. Oh, I see. That's the Grail's keynote by Jeff Brown is on the third day. So that's on June 4th. Yes. I definitely wish I could hear that. I haven't heard much else out of the move to OCI other than the fact that apparently Graham is back and hard at work again. Issues are starting to get cleaned up very quickly now.
Yeah, from what I saw, like yesterday was his first day, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, whenever I see grams at work, I know that all kinds of things are going to happen very quickly there.
Yeah, and now they are on full speed of making Grills 3 solid and shovel all the bugs and this kind of stuff. Yeah, it's good. It's good to have them back. That's for sure.
I'm looking for the show notes that I just pushed up there, and it looks like, did I somehow manage to overwrite my episode 13 show notes with the episode 12 file? I didn't think I did.
No, oh yeah, so I do see a file episode 13, but the content look like episode 12.
But I just put in all this new stuff. Oh, I hate when that happens, you know? Yeah, I just had everything. Yeah. I don't even know how I did that. Oh, that's too bad. Okay, well then let me just mention some of the things that I'd added. See, I guess we should mention that we're missing Peter today. He's still struggling with that persistent cough, and that makes it awkward for him to be on a podcast. But maybe he would, I checked the code I was trying to check it into GitHub, but I guess that's what happens when you overwrite it before you manage to do that. At any rate, I noticed for one thing is that the GVM tool is undergoing this a poll to see whether they should change the name or not. Did you see that? Did you get a chance to vote in that?
Yeah, so I'm kind of torn. I do love the GVM name. Maybe it's just because I used to it, but it's kind of nice. But I understand the drive to rename it. I don't find both of the existing proposals very appealing. So I believe they will get a lot of other suggestions, and then maybe we will see another voting ground, hopefully.
Yeah, the preliminary tweets that I saw from Marco suggested that the GVM name was very popular, but that he still wanted to go beyond the Groovy ecosystem on that to see what they had available. I really do kind of hope they keep that GVM name. I really like, I'm used to that. So I agree with you, although, again, I don't want to restrict anything. And I'm not terribly wild about the SDK name, Or was it SDKM or whatever?
So, SDK tool and SDK something else. So I think that what actually need to be done to be detached from the Groovy acronym is just stop treating the GVM as acronym. That's all. It's just a name.
So it'll be one of those, like JDBC is not an acronym anymore. It's just a trademarked name that doesn't mean anything.
Exactly. And then it's not Groovy something anymore. It's just GVM.
Yeah, well, we'll see how that works. I remember that KFC over here is now no longer Kentucky Fried Chicken. There's a bunch of those that are like that, and I usually assume that when that happens, lawyers were involved at some point. So, at any rate, I will be.
Yeah, it's like the JFrog has nothing to do with. Well, it has much less to do with Java anymore. It's just JFrog.
What does it have to do with frogs? I've never figured that part out.
That's an interesting story of not having any interesting story. People keep asking us why it is frog and what it has to do with frogs, and the actual story is kind of quite boring. We needed a name which is. We can make fun of it, and our frog's history proved that it was a good choice, and something that is not abused in searches, and we can and free domain and free this kind of stuff. So this has ended up with JFrog, and I think now it's the time to build a legacy and invent some touching story about, I don't know, maybe some frog that we saved where we were kids or something. We need to think about something.
Well, I'm still wondering if there's going to be, some opportunity to get turned into a prince or what have you there.
Yeah, we will see. Okay. Hopefully, something we will get out of JFrog eventually, and that definitely will make some guys in JFrog princes.
Okay, another news item I noticed was that GrooveScript, the JavaScript code generator, just went to version 1.1.1. Before I overwrote my document, apparently I had a link to the GrooveScript webpage, as well as there are slides from the presentation at Greach by, I assume it's Jorge Leza, Franco Leza?
Yep.
Wrote that. Were you at Greach?
No, I actually never been to Greece, not the last year, and it didn't work out this year as well. But I think I watched all the talks from last year because they were so good, and I definitely plan to do the same this year as well. This is a very, very nice conference.
It looks like a lot of fun. I mean, everything I was seeing coming out of it looks like it's a blast to be at. Have you played with GrooveScript at all? Did you do anything with it?
For some reason, I think I lost you.
No, I'm still here. Are you still there?
Ah, okay, good.
Okay, sorry. Just
yeah, I'm good. Like a glitch.
Did you have you played with GrooveScript at all? Have you done anything with it? Did I lose you again? Maybe it has something to do with GrooveScript.
Yeah, I just play with it to look what it actually does. It's kind of I don't know how I feel about converting everything to JavaScript. I'm not sure I'm a big fan of the idea.
Well, it's got to be easier than writing JavaScript, I would think. At any rate, just thought I'd mention that they had gone to the next version there. The other thing I saw that had gone to a new version was, let's see, where was it? I'm just looking for it now. This is why I wanted to have everything already set up. Oh, Groovy released a new version as well. Groovy's up to 1.2.3. Have you ever used Groovy before?
Yep.
Yeah, I really like Groovy. I didn't even know about it for a long time, and once I got a chance to use it,
yes, I actually did, and it's a very convenient. Yeah, it's a great one. Yep.
Okay, so at any rate, I've tried to put that in the show notes as well, so I'll keep the link available so when I update the show notes, we'll have that also. I remember Guillaume in his Groovy Weekly was very high on a presentation by, now I don't even know how to pronounce this, Marcin, or is it Marcin Zajachowski, I would guess, on smarter testing Java code block.
Yeah.
Do you know how to pronounce it? Do you have any? Oh, Marcin. Okay. Do you know his last name? I'm just guessing at it.
Oh, that's that's too much.
Oh, you're going to leave that with me, huh? Okay, fine. At any rate, there was a very nice.
No, let's just say Marcin. We don't. I personally, that's the only.
Okay. Apparently he did a wonderful presentation on Spock at the conference. I think that was also at Greach, or let's see, where was that? Again, I put in the link to the actual presentation. I'm not sure where the presentation was done, but it's in Warsaw, so it's not at Greach, but it was still a very, very nice summary. I also noticed that I think it's Java testing with Spock from Manning now has a new chapter as well. I hope you're still with me. I hope that lag is not me. I hope it's on your side and not mine. Just in case Baruch doesn't make it back and that the problem is not on my end, or his end rather, I'm going to keep going just to talk about it. Let's see, what else did I have in here? Again, we mentioned Groovy, we mentioned smarter testing with Spock. There's a nice presentation at Greach on building Android apps with Gradle. I'm looking forward to looking into that. Of course, I have a personal bias there. I'm spending a lot of time with Android these days, as well as with Gradle. That reminds me that next week, also at the end of the week, the Gradle Summit is occurring in the U.S. So those two are pretty much back to back. We have GreatConf in the EU, followed by the Gradle Summit in the U.S. It'd be a pretty impressive feat if anybody was able to attend both of those. I will be at GreatConf, although looks like I may only be able to make it for one day, but that looks to be fascinating, and I'm really looking forward to hearing about the future of Gradle. We'll see. There's a whole wide range of talks there, and I'll put something for that also in the show notes. Now, Peter Ledbrook as well has released another chapter on his Practical Groovy book. He's mentioned Practical Groovy a couple times. The book is publicly available on GitHub, and he's now added, I believe it's chapter 3 on scripting, or at least that's the name of the file at any rate. If I take a look at the actual file, oh, that's not going to work. I have to go to the HTML version. He's written everything out there. There's a book or a chapter on working with the file system and dates and times and playing with closures as well. I certainly recommend taking a look at that if you're at all interested in those topics. On the issue of shameless self-promotion, I'm afraid I have to mention my own O'Reilly video course on Groovy Fundamentals. That's basically a 4-hour video course getting people up and running on the basics of Groovy. Now, I understand that for this audience, that's not going to be something that's strongly needed. I mean, pretty much if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably pretty familiar with Groovy already. But if you know anybody who would be interested, if you know any Java developers who would be interested, that's certainly an approach. The follow-on to video courses, the Mastering Groovy and the Practical Groovy, actually the other way around, the Practical Groovy and the Mastering Groovy will be out in the next few weeks as well. So that is the list there. Now, as long as it's been a relatively quiet week, let me also mention sources of information. Guillaume Laforge, in general, has his excellent weekly email, and I believe you can subscribe to that. It's called Groovy Weekly, and he has pretty much made it actually being able to release that every week. I believe there's a link to that at groovylang.org if you wanted to register, if you wanted to sign up for it. And I'll put a link in the show notes. So I believe if you go to the groovy-lang.org and go to the community section, there is a link there to the Groovy Weekly newsletter, and that way you can follow what's going on through Guillaume's experience, which is always very, very good. Looks like Wrestlet's been pretty active as well, so I imagine they're keeping him busy. A second very good source of information for anything going on in the Groovy and the Grails ecosystem is the so-called Grails Diary as well, by Jacob Mikkelsen. Unless it's Jacob, it could be. Oh, Baruch, it sounds like you made it back?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, good. Okay, I went through a few other news items that I had. Mostly I mentioned that the Gradle Summit is also next week. So it's be very difficult to attend both, to go to both GreatConf in the EU and then going to the Gradle Summit. But I will be at the Gradle Summit, so I'll get a chance to see what's going on there. And I also mentioned our sources of information. Basically I talked about Guillaume's Groovy Weekly email and how you can sign up for that on the Groovy website. And I was just pointing out the Grails Diary as well. Do you know Jacob or Jacob Mikkelsen? Do you know him?
Not personally. I know the name from the diary.
Yeah, I've seen his name many times. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce it. So I do look forward to meeting him at some point. Hopefully he'll be at Spring 1 or 2GX or one of the other major conferences, one of the GreatConf ones as well.
Yeah, so to add to the news source, there is an alternative newsletter that unfortunately I cannot find the URL now, but I will put it in the show notes. That basically, I'm not sure. I don't remember the name of the guy who does it, and I'm not sure why, because we have Guillaume's news weekly. But sometimes the news are different, so that's another very nice source. And another source of news for our listeners, at least, is our podcast, of course.
Yeah, both people who listened to it. Very good. Actually, I think I got the dates wrong on Gradle Summit. It's 2 weeks from now. It's not next week. So let me just write the actual dates for GreatConf are the one in Copenhagen is June 2nd through 4th, and the Gradle Summit is June 11th and 12th. So that's not next Thursday, Friday. It's the Thursday, Friday after that, actually. So that's just wanted to straighten that out. The GreatConf in the U.S. is at the end of July in Minneapolis, as usual.
Yeah, and we both will be here, I hope.
You are coming over for that one? Excellent.
Yes, yes, of course.
So that'll be good to see you. I'm actually going to be hopefully pretty active at that one. This time I definitely blocked out the whole week to attend it. I'm not going to just try to show up and give my talk and then leave. I really enjoy that conference, so I'm going to try to hang out the whole time for that particular one. Did you have any
that's
other...
a good idea, and let me suggest you live the participation in the Groovy Puzzlers if you want to.
Live participation of what? Pardon me?
To the Groovy Puzzlers.
Oh, for the Groovy Puzzlers. Oh, okay. Well, we'll have to see how that goes. Yeah, I'll see if I can attend that and see if we can throw something at you. Do you have any other news items that you wanted to mention?
No, I think we're good. So it wasn't very busy week. So 2 weeks or 3 weeks from whatever we podcasted last time, and I think we covered everything, and the timing is good.
Yeah, I did the shameless self-promotion part. You know, Peter's got a new chapter in his Practical Groovy book, and I've got my O'Reilly video courses out now. In 2 weeks.
Oh yes, right. You definitely should promote it. It looks very, very good.
Oh well. Thank you. See, it's got a lot more credibility coming from you than from me, right? You know, but again, there's only so much of that I can stand. I will say this though, is that if in 2 weeks when the Gradle Summit is going on, I'm actually going to be at the O'Reilly office in Sebastopol doing some recordings for Android-based stuff, and hopefully doing something with Gradle for Android as well. It'll depend on how much time we have. But you're going to have moved to California by that point, right?
Yes, that's true. Next week, actually.
Oh, excellent. So we'll definitely have to see what we can do about doing another podcast at that point. Peter, I believe, will be at the Gradle Summit, so assuming he'll be able to talk by that point, we should actually see if we can get something arranged sometime that week. I mean, I just can't imagine all three of us being in the same time zone. It just seems rather amazing. Okay, well, I clearly have work to do straightening out my show notes that I overwrote. Is there anything else that you wanted to bring up or you wanted to talk about, or are we good?
No, I think we're good. We can call it for today, and I will contribute to the show notes, the stuff that I mentioned as well.
Okay, well, we are trying to get onto our regular schedule again of doing a Groovy podcast every couple of weeks, and thank you very much for listening. I hope you had a good time with it, and we'll see you all next time.